blessed with a championship prosperity the likes of which we have never seen, cursed by a past riddled with despair. This is Blursed.
Oof.
Oh, boy. All right. I'll just cut this first little bit here.
Man, all right.
Good Lord.
The tip of the tongue, the teeth,
Yes.
the lips.
Riddle, the tittle tattle.
Blursed is back, everybody. It's Tuesday again, isn't it?
Tuesday, mate.
Back again.
There it is. Back again on a Tuesday, September 27th. What's going on, fellas? Blake, Aaron?
Man,
Yeah.
we are, well, first of all, what's up, fellas?
up, guys?
Oh, God.
His dogs are barking again. Your feet
They
hurting?
are. Blake,
Long
why don't
day.
you take it away?
Yeah, what's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Good morning if you're listening in the morning, or good afternoon if you're listening in the afternoon. Glad to have you here as always. Shout out to all you listening, everyone who clicked on us on YouTube this last week. Thank you so much. 126 views. I don't know what we did to deserve that, but woo, let's keep it coming. So yeah, like, subscribe,
Hot
share.
fire.
That's right.
Yeah, I think it was Aaron just 125 times refreshing the page, but
Yeah.
you never know.
That does
Oh,
sound
I did.
about right.
You know what? I did go to Best Buy and I opened it up on every computer.
Just
Damn
Well,
it.
that's not
I
a
thought
bad
I thought it was
that
unique
was what it
views.
was. Dang it.
How
Oh,
are you
man.
doing, Aaron?
We're doing well. I'm tired. Oh well, I'll tell you what, I'm not tired now. I'm refreshed, but it's almost in that what's the twilight of the morning feeling.
Oh, I
for
see
me
what you're
right
saying.
now.
Yes, because you're just
Yes.
waking up.
That's right. I am just I woke up. Worked overnight last night for my other job, for job 2, you know.
Right.
And yeah, so we're back, we're ready, we're refreshed, we're ready to talk about some Falcons, a little bit of
Awesome.
Braves.
Yeah, a little bit of
Yeah.
all, a little bit of everything. I can just
And
kick it off.
Georgia, actually. Yeah, we need to discuss that as well. So yeah, let's go ahead and
Yeah, we'll kick it off. So Falcons
off with
win.
some
This is
Falcons
a victory Tuesday, everybody. So
it is.
I
The
would like to say-
Falcons this week.
Yeah, they're the Falcons this week. Yeah, the
I would like to point
Falcons.
out that it's nice to get a dub, but that Hayden and I are still on track because through the first winning 1 out of your first 3 does put you on track to win 5 for the
It does. No, that
Uh-oh.
does. And also, I would like to say this: we should have just bet on this back when we did this. Like, not us, but like we should have at least put the wager in Vegas over 5 wins or over 4.5 wins because we all thought they could in the beginning of the season anyways, and we should have just done that because I think that's
a good
looking
point.
more likely at this point.
Yeah, like I said, to be exact, I believe they're on pace for 5.6 right now.
Yeah, so and that's we like those odds.
do.
No, what a great victory. This is one that I said last week that I thought we could win by 2 scores, and if Mariota doesn't fumble that ball, we probably do win by 2 scores. But we haven't heard that one before. Yeah, so let's have our key takeaways. I just thought it would be good this week instead of talking about, because like last week, the last couple of weeks have been one of those games where you're like, you had to talk about a lot of stuff because inevitably something went wrong. But this week
Right.
was different. What were some of your key takeaways? I have my own, but I figure we'll just hopscotch around the room here.
Well, I mean,
Well, we're gonna hopscotch it.
we're gonna hoppity scotch.
Yeah,
All right. I don't know
yeah.
if I've heard that one.
I can start
I like
off if y'all want me to.
Please do.
Go ahead.
Hopscotch away.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Let me hopscotch over here. So my first key takeaway from this game, I'm gonna stick with my Marcus Mariota banter. Is Marcus Mariota for 2 reasons though. My first one was a mobile quarterback is really showing the potential of this offense, of Art Smith's offense. Through 3 games, we've played the Saints, the Rams, and the Seahawks. We are actually in the top 10 in offense so far. We're like top 5 in rushing, which is incredible. I think this is something that, I mean, Art made a big deal of when he was at Tennessee because he had Derrick Henry. But I think I think it's not just because he had Derrick Henry. I think he knows that there is an importance when running the ball because it opens up the passing lanes as well. So
And he has an even more explosive running back now than he did in Tennessee. So
Oh yeah,
arguably.
easily.
Yeah, you know that this Cordell Patterson was the first running back since Michael Turner to average more than 8 yards per carry in a game, or 15 carries, which is crazy that he did that. Yeah, 17 carries, 141 yards, a career day. How no other coaches could see that he had this potential beforehand still blows my mind.
Well, the thing is, and I heard, I know you brought that point up in the group meme, and you're right, but it makes it even weirder because they did try him at running back in Minnesota. It just didn't work.
Yeah,
And
no, you're
so,
right. You're not wrong.
So they thought about it there. It just didn't work the way it's doing here. So
Yeah,
as much as I don't like to, that I think is a feather in the cap of Art Smith.
I agree. And the hard part about it is if in the way you watch CPAT run the ball is he's kind of a running back that needs more carries. Like he needs to be able to at least get 15 carries. You would honestly like to see him get 20, 25, but he is at 31 years old. It's pretty old for a running back. So I don't know if they're going to do that. Plus he is the difference maker. I saw one of our group meetings this week. One of our friends like, yeah, so without CPAT, the Falcons suck. But it's like, couldn't you almost name every team out there and say without their best player, they're not going to be as good? Like, yes, of course. Cordell Patterson's our best player. So like, I hate that take. I hate when people look at a team and go, well, without LeBron, they just wouldn't be the same. Well, of course it's LeBron James. And I'm not saying CPAT's LeBron, but he's our LeBron. He does everything for the Falcons.
You keep saying CPAT, and it sounds like CPAP.
CPAT.
Like,
nope, CPAT.
Oh boy.
CPAT machine.
Yeah, the old he is a machine though.
But I mean, I think there's a couple things maybe that's making him more successful here. I mean, it could be like the scheme just built around him and like letting him hit the open holes and trying to limit his carries, I guess. But he is 31, but him not playing running back for all these years and playing mostly wide receivers, it's kind of limited the amount of contact he's taking as opposed to like these other running backs that are like 27, 28 that are kind of on their downturn of their career because they take so many hits. So maybe that's why we're not seeing like such a downtick in his production and
I
like
agree.
top tier speed and stuff like that. But I mean, it's fun to watch him run, especially when he's on your fantasy team. So
yeah, right, yeah, no, for sure. And I think the Falcons' offensive line, like he after the game commented how good of a job they've done, and it's so true. Like I know in the offseason, we thought Matt Ryan was going to the Colts and have a better offensive line and a better run game. But through 3 games, the Falcons have given up less sacks, and we've also
I think Matt Ryan thought that
better
too.
rushing. Yeah, no, I don't know how Matt would do. He'd probably get sacked more than Mariota has because I think Mariota's mobility has helped a lot. But also Mariota's decision making had give up some sacks too. Like there was a couple times he got sacked Sunday where I just felt like he had to get rid of the ball or do something, and he kind of just froze up. But it seems like something that's been happening. Anyone else? I can keep hopscotching around, but if someone else wants to jump in with a takeaway.
Oh, one thing that I do want to point out, and it is still harping on the CPAP stuff.
The old machine.
Yes. But no, I've noticed that his 2 best rushing games of the year were against the Saints in week 1 and then this past week, obviously. And it has come when it feels like Arthur Smith is forced to run the ball a little bit more, be it or at least
he's allowed. I feel like he's allowed to run the ball more.
Yes, but I guess what I mean is through a need to give it to one person more than spread it around. Because in week 1, Damian Williams picked up that injury on the first or his second play, I think.
Yeah,
and that took away 1 ball carry. And then leading into this game, I believe we put 2 running backs on the inactive list as well.
Yeah, we still had Avery Williams and Tyler Algier.
We did, yes.
And I think Tyler Algier still had let me see. I had to pull up.
Yeah, he had his.
Yeah, he still had 6 carries, which was like what he was around the same he did last time. I think more, and I don't think you're 100% wrong here, but I'm going to disagree a little bit in the sense I think it's more that when the game script allows him to run the ball, he's going to run the ball. And CPAT is a great runner. We just got so far behind so quickly in the Rams game because our offense couldn't finish drives that he couldn't run like he wanted to. I think more of that. But no, I agree with you that like CPAT, when given the chance, he has made it. I mean, he's made it work. I do want to say this too. Sorry, Mike to Marcus Mariota real quick. I was saying that the mobile quarterback has showed the potential of the offense, and I think I get really excited thinking about what this could look like with a better quarterback because Marcus Mariota is himself, and like there another game where he almost blows the game. We almost lost the 3rd game because of him, because of that fumble he had with Tyler Algier. And it really makes me look back to the Saints game, and I hate playing the what ifs, but if he doesn't fumble against the Saints, you beat them too, and we could easily be 2-1 right now. And
he's 3 for 3 in our games this year of turning the ball over in the 4th quarter, which that's the worst.
That is bad.
We had a chance to beat the Rams too. We shouldn't have beat the Rams, and I will be the first one to say it. We should not have even beat the Rams. But the fact that we had a chance to beat the Rams and we didn't because of him, like we could easily be 2-1, and we could be 3-0 in a weird world, but it's true.
Right.
What I'm trying to say about that though is that the Saints loss really hurts now because the Saints have looked, their offense looked awful. Their defense has been fine but the Panthers scored 2 touchdowns on defense against them in their win against the Saints this week. Like, it shows that our defense may not be as good as we thought they were after that first game. They're
Especially
a lot
the
more
secondary.
porous.
I feel like that's been a letdown so far this year for sure.
Yeah, I will say that is one thing I wanted to bring up as well is the secondary, but because totally agree, they have been a letdown this year compared to what we, especially us,
what we thought they would be.
Thought they were going to be. But I will say, I thought AJ Terrell had his best game of the season so far yesterday. There were several one-on-one lockdown plays.
Absolutely.
That he made. Terrell Island was back a little bit. And in fact, on that first drive, on that first drive, he's the reason why they had to settle for a field goal. You know, the Seahawks cut through us like butter. It was bad on that first drive. And then when they got in the red zone, they threw the ball a couple times, including a long third down, play to the end zone where Terrell, it was perfect position, turned around and batted it down.
And awesome part, that's Metcalf too. Huge receiver he's doing that with. Like, and that's a knock on Terrell has been that physical receivers have been the one to beat him. And like Michael Thomas, huge physical receiver. I mean, Cooper Kupp's not the huge physical receiver, but he beats everybody. He's different. And then Metcalf, huge physical receiver, and Terrell took care of business. Like, he did. The touchdown Metcalf had was not when AJ was in coverage. So like, I agreed. AJ Terrell's back. To comment on the secondary, I don't know if it's the secondary as much as it is the secondary, but also like it's the zone, it's middle zone that's killing us. It's the middle of the field. It's the tight ends that are eating us up in the zone coverage, and it's the slot receivers. It's the middle of the field that's killing us right now. Right. And like something that might surprise y'all is the Falcons actually are near the top in the league in takeaways right now. We've had 5. Let me make sure this is right. We've had 3 interceptions and 2 fumble recoveries. So we've had 5 total takeaways. That puts us at tied for.
Curious how many giveaways we have.
3rd. Well, that's the thing. I was going to tell you all that. So we're tied for 3rd right now in takeaways, which is pretty incredible. Giveaways, though, we're tied for 3rd in the wrong way because of how many giveaways we've had. So we've given up. This is the saddest part is Mariota's thrown 3 interceptions and he's fumbled the ball 3 times. So he's had 6 turnovers by himself. So if you
hasn't he fumbled it a couple times?
No, well, we have 1 fumble too. We have Zacchaeus fumbled as well. So
no, I mean I didn't. Has Mariota lost every fumble he's fumbled?
All of them but 1.
Okay, yeah. So that one doesn't count, right? So he's technically fumbled it 7 times.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. So we're in negative right now, -1. I'm pretty sure in total. The differential or -1, I'm pretty sure. Let me make sure. -2. We're -2 in differential, which sucks because like if you look at a team like Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who their offenses looked not so good besides the running game. But they're 3-0, or no, they're 2-1, and the only reason they lost yesterday is because apparently Aaron Rodgers saw something on the big screen. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
about
that was a weird clip.
But their turnover differential is +4, and we're -2. So like, it just shows you if we can just do a better job taking care of the ball on offense, we could be winning more. I mean, it's obvious we would be 2-1 at least right now if we could take the ball, but take better protection of the ball. So
it's a game of ball control, right? So if you give all those extra opportunities, even if we're taking a lot of them as well from our opponents, like it's going to catch up with you, and that's what it did for 2 of those games. Luckily, it didn't happen a 3rd time, right? Because
it's close.
Let's talk about that read option. So again, he's been running this offense his entire life, and it's just incredible to me that he can make that mistake in the 4th quarter. Again.
Yeah, it is bad.
I heard some people trying to give him like benefit of the doubt that it could have been on Tyler Algier there because he held it pretty long. But in the press conference after the game, Mariota kind of made it sound like it was his fault and he needs to do better there. But I will say, I mean, I know no one's going to bash Mariota in the press conference, especially a player afterwards, but the players don't have to talk highly of Mariota after a game like that. And a lot of players come out and say, we follow this guy. Like, he's our leader. So they like him. And there's a reason why he's still starting. And I mean, our offense has been efficient, but at the end of the day, like we're saying, he's also the one holding us back. So we're getting a lot of yards. Our rushing team, we're the 4th best rushing team in the league right now. And the best one in the league comes in this weekend and plays us this coming weekend, Cleveland Browns. But I don't know. I'm more surprised about how good the offense has been with Matt Ryan being gone. I thought because in the preseason we all thought the defense would be better than the offense, and it's been
Right.
kind of the opposite.
Yeah.
But I will say this about the defense is that although they were bending a lot in that game, like some old celery, they did not break. Like they
Wait, what was that phrase? That phrase you just used there?
Like some old celery?
Oh, old celery. I thought you said cold celery.
No, old celery. It's not.
Cold celery
no.
would break.
Cold celery would break.
More
No,
difficult.
old celery. Yeah. And it's not a sexy.
I would know. I'm a purveyor of such.
You are. It's not a sexy way to describe it, but it wasn't a sexy way to win the game either. So that's why I'm going with this.
I don't think we're going to have
and
many wins that are super sexy.
No,
they won't.
definitely not.
They will not.
And also, but you don't like they kind of got mashed up a good bit through the first 3 quarters. But I will say, by the Seattle offensive line, I mean, but what won us the game, honestly, was the pressure we got on the quarterback in the fourth quarter.
Yep, absolutely.
Dean was able to fix something. And was it Grady that came up with that sack?
Yeah, we had 2 monster sacks.
Yeah, it was
Lorenzo
Grady
Carter,
and Zoe, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, yeah, both of them came through monster sacks, and like you said, I wrote this down too in the fourth quarter. So that's the thing, and especially in the NFL is that your defense can be mediocre if they can step up big when it matters. As long as your offense can keep up, and so that's what happened this week. Our offense kept a par the whole game, and our defense stepped up when it mattered. And I don't know, it was good to watch. I hated watching us get gashed by the Seahawks for the first half. Is kind of embarrassing, but the fact that we could stay in the game and then our defense step up when it matters is a big deal to me. And part of the reason defense stepped up is because Micah Walker, I got a special player, guys.
Yes, he almost had a pick in the first quarter,
and he had one last game. And he's one of the reasons we came back against them. He's a special player. This is only his first year starting in the NFL. I think I really just see this defense as a whole getting better as the year goes on. There's just so much young talent. Both your safeties are in year 2. You have young cornerbacks besides Casey Hayward, and then your linebackers are also all young guys. Lorenzo Carter and Evans are both vets, but they're both only 5-year vets. They're not right. Grady Jarrett's and Casey Hayward are your 2 most senior guys, 8 year, and then Casey Hayward's probably 9 or something like that. But so it's incredible to me how. I know they're not playing great, but I just see the potential. I can see this defense getting better and better.
Yeah, that's what you hope for going in. That you hope for them to gel together, especially in year 2 of Dean Pease's defense. Now he's putting in more looks. He's putting in more of what he actually wants to do. And
he's just pissed off on the sideline watching them gash us for 3 quarters.
Oh, speaking of, did y'all see? Who was it? Yeah. Buffalo's offense coordinator.
Oh, breaking.
It was Ken Dorsey. Yeah, at the end when they couldn't get the ball spiked to kick the field goal.
Yeah.
It just they cut to him and he's just beating up literally anything in the press box
that he could find. Yeah. I'll say this about Dean too. During the game, I was more harsh, but after the game I looked, they only scored 3 points in the second half, I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
The Seahawks, that is. Let me double check here. Yeah, they only scored 3 points in the second half. So the defense really turned it around.
Yeah.
Taking a step back to the youth of the team and inexperienced players, what you want to do in a rebuild is you want to get all the pieces set up, and then you might be able to bring in that final piece, the quarterback.
Yeah.
And then everything will click, which very well could be the case with Lamar Jackson.
Yes. I mean, people keep saying that they're going to franchise tag him. Does that mean we won't even get a shot at him if they do that?
Correct. Sadly.
That sucks.
From what I understand, if they franchise tag him, we don't have a shot.
I keep hearing that now, which stinks. And if they want to franchise tag him, they franchise tag him.
And I think they can do it 2 years in a row before they have to stop.
It's a very steep increase in salary too, because I think Kirk Cousins had to do the same thing.
Yes. Yeah. No, I think it'd be around 50 million too.
But it's a discount. I think it's still a discount for them, at least in year 1.
In year 1, yes. I agree with you. I just think it's so unfair to the player. But
it sucks.
I mean, I guess they can have that rule if they want that rule. But that was because of that, though. I think the Falcons, unlike how we wish they could just bank on Lamar afterwards, because you're right. I really do think you could plug and play him next year in this Falcons team with all the units we have, everything we have, and the additions we can make, plus the cap coming in. I just think that's a playoff team. But I mean, we're just gonna have to hope Ritter or if he's not, we take a quarterback early next year, and they are the answer.
Right. And that actually is one thing. I'm glad you go there, Blake. I wanted to get y'all's take on this. So with Hayden, your prediction didn't come true. Ritter did not step in this week.
Pitchy.
But
Tom Pitchy.
yes. Wow. Yeah, so basically what I wanted to pose to you guys is if we're trusting Art Smith, which I know, Blake, that's kind of your thing. You obviously believe in him more than
I trust him more than y'all do.
Yes, for sure. So would you not then want to think about it in as far as the quarterback battle, or the fact that there seems like there's not one, even given how poorly Mariota's played? Is there not a chance that Art Smith is just like less on the side of I'm sticking with Mariota, I'm sticking with my guy, and more on the side of Ritter's just not there yet?
Yeah.
Like even I mean we saw him in the preseason and he was impressive, but that's the preseason.
Yeah.
Teams only run really their base defensive looks, and he's not playing against ones all the time.
No, I think that's a great point, and I think that's a level-headed approach that we haven't had because, I mean, to be fair, there's been a lot of emotions recently in the last couple of weeks because of the ways we've lost these games.
Yes.
And I think you're 100% right, and I think that's why people that study this stuff more than we do, like Aaron Freeman, who does have that Lock on Falcons podcast, and he's been to the like people like him have been saying since the beginning, probably week 8 or week 9 is where we'll see Ritter, because their logic is by that point in the season, the Falcons will know whether we're competing for playoffs or not. Like 8 weeks in, like, I mean, especially at the rate we're going, I mean, the Browns are going to be a hard out this weekend. Like, we're home. I don't know if we win that game, especially after
I don't see a dub.
How they watch. We play the Buccaneers and we play the Niners. The Bengals have looked good again. So like, we could lose 4 games in a row right here. Yeah. And so the big thing is I think they kind of want to see where the season's going to play out, and they also, like you said, they want to see Ritter be ready. And maybe by week 8, week 9, he'll have the full playbook. And by that point, too, like, you don't want to lose your team. Like, if your team's backing up Mariota right now, you can't.
Uh-oh.
Your mic went out.
Yeah, we lost you there. Still can't hear you.
I hit it. I muted it. What was the last thing I said? I was trying to say, like, that you can't just yank your starting quarterback out.
No, you were talking about if the team's following.
Yeah, exactly. If the team's following him, and like they're saying they're following him right now, you can't just rip the starting quarterback out.
Every player says that about every quarterback, no matter what.
Thank you.
They say the same thing about Geno Smith, and like, let's be honest, all those players up there are like, damn, I wish we had Russ.
Yes.
Or like, even though Russ is struggling too.
They don't like Russ though.
The main example of that was
now that he's gone.
You guys remember back when we were kids, Blake? I don't even think you were born. Hayden and I were probably in middle school, but was when T.O. played for the Cowboys and Tony Romo was the quarterback, and there was a lot of big press about how they apparently didn't get along, and from what I understand, they did not get along. But T.O. did that thing in the press conference one week where he like fake cried, and he was like, "That's my quarterback, man. That's my teammate." Like, to Hayden's point, that was not his true feelings, but that's all. Right. That's what they got to do to the media.
Every player is going to say that for sure.
Yeah,
but I just think it doesn't mean it's not true. It just means we can't know.
Right. I just think it's easier as a fan, especially us, like wanting to see the young quarterback, for us to demand a quarterback change on stuff. It's probably a lot easier than being on the inside of the situation looking in.
Right.
Like that's all I'm trying to say. And like, trust me, I'd rather see Ritter at this point. I've seen enough Mariota. Like, I know what we're getting, but I'm not the coach. I don't get paid the money to do this.
I also wanted to bring it up that that is there a chance that while that's the safe approach is what we just landed on there, is there actually a bad light there, which is to say that Art would put him in maybe. And this is all speculation, of course. But like, is there a chance that the cases that Art is like, I have no loyalty to Mariota as far as I just want to win games, what he's been saying this whole time.
Yeah.
And if he's hitting the mantra of I just want to win games, I would put in the better quarterback regardless of if it's a week 4 or week 3 rookie, and he's just not where I thought he would be. Or he's, Well, maybe I hope that's not the case.
I hope so too. I feel like it can't be after the preseason we watched, because like we were all pretty high on him afterwards, and like we would be honest if he was a stinker. Like we would be like, no, I saw enough in the preseason. Like I don't need to see that. But to carry off that point is maybe too, Art was just like, you know what, we're probably going to lose against the Saints and the Rams anyways. So I don't want to see the young guy get torn up out there.
Have said that about the Saints though, because the Saints turns out.
Well, now I agree. The Saints have looked bad, but about the Rams maybe. Like, and going into seasons, you don't know anyways. But like my point is like, you also want to be able to build some confidence for the young guy too.
You do,
and that's why if you do wait to that week week 9 mark, your schedule at that point is Panthers, Chargers, which I know Chargers are, but then Panthers again, Bears, Commanders, Steelers, Saints. Like that's a much easier stretch than us about to be playing the Browns, Bucks, 49ers, Bengals.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I just think that has something to do with it.
Let me hop in here.
Yeah.
So I have a lot to say based on what Blake just said. So one, I think everybody knows what's going to happen this season as far as like how well we're going to compete, and that's why I don't really buy like that he's making a decision based on that. He's saying he's being competitive, and like what Aaron said, it could be the opposite of what we said last week, and where maybe it is like obviously Art knows more than we do about the quarterback situation, like if they're able to handle the playbook, stuff like that. So it could be, maybe Mariota does give us the best shot to win. That still kind of sucks for us to have to watch that and like see that happen. And we're in a very bad situation.
Right.
But yeah,
what
I mean,
we signed up for this year.
Yeah, it is what it is from that regard. But I don't know. It's hard to believe based on what we've seen in the preseason from Ritter. He started a ton of games in college at a pretty big university. So like I don't think that kind of like they probably have a pretty complex playbook there too at Cincinnati.
Yes, I would imagine it's not.
So and like we're talking about Mariota who's not taking care of the ball. He can't get through very many reads. He doesn't have any pocket presence. That's one thing. Like I didn't even get to watch the game live. I watched like a long recap.
Right.
And that's one thing that was even showing up on the recaps was he
pocket
was taking
presence.
Sacks. He had no awareness. It would be a front side blitz and he would not see it at all.
Right.
And like so you should know based on where you have your protection set up and stuff like that. Like where you might need to keep an eye on or like stuff like that.
Especially with Colby Gossett's making a spot start and an offensive line, like you got to know your left guard's gonna be a little weaker, and it was.
Yeah, so just like little stuff like that you'd expect from a veteran quarterback. So I don't know. It's back and forth. We'll see how long it goes. If we wait until week 8, then I very well expect us to be out of the race. But this is not a strong division. Even the Bucks look bad too.
Yes,
they do.
Like as many games as we have in division, like we could compete for a playoff spot this year, which is pretty crazy to say. We probably are the weakest division in football.
Yes.
What are the odds Giselle has something to do with how bad they're doing? She clearly didn't want him to unretire.
Yeah, I mean, but part of that has to be Brady too for retiring and unretiring, and like it's just a whole mess.
Arians is gone as well.
Yes.
And some people have said that that's what Brady wanted.
Was Arians gone? Yeah, I saw that too, but I don't buy that.
I don't get that. But
the reason he went to Tampa Bay in the first place is because they had so much talent around him already in place.
Yes. It was a plug and play.
They had Godwin, they had Mike Evans, like
great defense.
And then Gronk came out of retirement to play with him, and everything was set up. Which is exactly what would be great.
So what you're trying to say
next year?
Yeah, right. Next year, exactly.
We just get Tom Brady.
Yeah, right. What's the shell of Tom Brady?
What other
just
free
walk
agent
around the NFC South?
Andrew Luck comes out of retirement.
Oh, watch out now.
I would like that. I would like that a lot.
Speaking of Andrew Luck and Bruce Arians, have y'all seen those videos of the various interviews that Bruce has done where he's said that Andrew Luck's the best quarterback that he ever coached?
Yes, I saw that.
Really?
Yeah. He said because he's coached Tom Brady. He's been around. Has he been around Peyton?
Yeah, he was Peyton's offensive coordinator for.
There we go. When
he was really young.
So he was around Peyton, and he was around, and he said that Andrew Luck was the best to coach. Yeah.
Same draft as Mariota, right? 1-2.
Yeah, is that God? I think that is right.
I think it is.
Wow.
Wait,
no.
Jameis.
Winston was 1 and 2.
Who? Yeah. Wait, 1-2 with Andrew Luck.
Andrew Luck,
RG3.
Robert Griffin.
Oh,
it
was
Robert
RG3.
Yeah, that's what it was. And I'll be honest. It seemed like I think it was me and Brady. Shout out to our boy Brady. When those two came out, I think he and I were both like, "Yeah, RG3 is clearly better." And through year one, that looked to be the case, and then that did not pan out to be the case.
RG3 is definitely the better announcer.
So
but let's be honest though, Washington's ruined so many good players with their turf, man. Players get hurt there all the time because I think RG3 probably would have been good if he didn't get hurt. Like
how can that be a situation
and then not do anything about it?
Yes, it's for. I mean, you hear about certain fields that are bad, like in Major League Baseball too, but NFL is the richest sport in the world, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's because they have a horrible owner.
But I mean, it's just crazy. Like the
I think a
quality of
lot.
the field would be that much worse.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think a lot has to do with their owner, Dan Snyder. I'm just all I'm saying. He doesn't care. Real quick, before we move off from the Falcons, I had one last thing I want to talk about. Throwing to Kyle Pitts pays off. So
Yeah.
so in games where Kyle Pitts receives more than 80 yards, we're 4-0. Just so y'all know that. Just
Okay.
that's just a fun fact.
Just heads up.
So what you're telling me is that because you just traded him in fantasy, you don't think we're going to win that many games this year.
No, that's not why. That's not why.
Yeah.
No, but here's why I was okay with trading Kyle Pitts. I'll talk about it because I'll talk about it here for the Falcons as well. I think Kyle Pitts has immense talent. I think we saw it last year, and I think we see it this year too. I think Mariota holds him back. I mean, I know he holds him back. I mean,
he had
a
a better quarterback last year. That's obviously
exactly
the case.
And we had design plays for Kyle this week coming right out of the gate. And I was talking to Hayden about this before the podcast. I think a lot of times last year, Pitts may not have been the number one like read on a lot of plays, but Matt Ryan can read multiple options before he throws
Matt
the
Ryan
ball.
can get through all his options.
And so this year, Art probably kept it like that, like where Kyle Pitts won't always be the number one target because he shouldn't be. You shouldn't have to, like, you should get schemed, of course, but you shouldn't have to be the number one option on every single play. It's just dumb. But unless he's the number one option, Mariota's not throwing him the ball. Like, it's been obvious. And I think some of it has to do with confidence. Like, in that first play of the game, Pitts bomb over the top, Pitts wide open, left the guy behind him, 6 yards behind him, and Mariota overthrows them. And it's like, dude, that's a touchdown. You could have silenced the crowd on the first play of the game, and you probably go up and win big against them, but instead you leave the crowd in the whole game. Like, so
there was also another play where he just completely missed him because of what you just said. Kyle wasn't his first read, and it was still a big gain for us. I think it was like a pass to OZ maybe, and it was like a 20-yard pass. But when they showed the replay, like 10 yards past OZ was a wide open Kyle Pitts
for a touchdown
that he just didn't even look at. He saw his first option was open, and boom.
So my logic for the Falcons and for Kyle Pitts is that I traded him not because I don't think he'll still have a great year and do great things. It's just I kept him in our league for the purpose of I thought Kyle Pitts would be a top 3 tight end right there with Kelsey and Andrews, and he's gonna be a tier below that probably. Yes. And for that reason, I could probably fill a player in and get somewhat decent production most weeks and take the positive somewhere else.
I mean, he's such a dynamic player that like you wish you would see Art use him. Kind of like how UGA gets the ball to Brock Bowers, or like how Andy Reid makes sure Kelsey gets the ball, or Mark Andrews for the Ravens. Like, it can be anything. It could be like a end around almost, or like a little shovel pass underneath, like off a play action.
Right. Tight end. And I do want to that point there, he did give him one creative look.
2 tight end screens.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
it was 2. Yeah, two tight end screens. First of all, I'm a fan of the tight end screen just in general. But when you have a dynamic player like that, that you need to get into space, you need to get in the ball with a head of steam. Yeah, that's how you do it. And I thought that was well executed.
I agree. And I think Art's realizing when Marcus is like, all right, shoot, I'm going to have to scheme up more plays for Kyle because he's not going to read, like we're saying, he's not going to make the reads. He's not going to get to his third check and go, oh, look, Kyle Pitts is wide open. Let's toss it over there. And for that reason, he'll have to scheme up more things. But also for that reason, a lot of things to Pitts, I'm afraid, might be forced. Like, I'm afraid there's going to be a lot of passes forced because Mariota's just not the quarterback we need him to be. So that's how I feel about Pitts.
If it's forced into single coverage with Pitts, I'm fine with it. If
True.
if he's covered by multiple defenders, then that's not going to be good.
True.
But he's the type of athlete that can go over the top and make the catch, but it's got to be in a spot where it's possible.
Yes.
I think something too that you said earlier about the plug and play thing about next year and about how, like, if you can get all the right pieces and get a quarterback to come in there. The Bengals did that a couple of years ago with Joe Burrows and they go in the Super Bowl. I think the Falcons have a better core before Joe Burrows got there and before Jamar Chase got there than what the Bengals had, if that makes sense. So I think next year, if you really think that could be our year to get to the playoffs, I really do think we make a good run. Like, the offensive line's been solid. The defense looks positive. Like, because last year the Bengals offensive line was horrible and they still made it Super Bowl somehow. So, like, I just think we're further ahead in some ways than they were. And I think Pitts and London are an awesome duo. Like, they're incredible. We're going to have to figure out a way to replace Patterson next year, like with some young talent. I don't know if Algier is that by himself yet. It's hard to tell. But yeah, like I think the future looks really good for this team.
I think with CPAT's age, I think you might be able to get him on a cheap contract where
Well,
like
we have him for 2 years.
Yeah. Okay. So then,
Yeah.
like,
Wait,
maybe
2
you
more
don't
years?
want him to be the lead back.
I think
maybe.
one more year after this. I thought.
So he signed a 3-year deal?
No, I think he just signed a 2-year deal
last year.
Let me see.
Anyways, but yeah, I mean, also you got Calvin Ridley probably coming back next year.
Yeah, 2-year,
Yeah.
$10.5 million.
Would be like the
Okay.
third option. You think he'd be playing more in the slot, maybe?
Yeah, no, he would.
Which is
Got
what
that
he's
build.
Which he should be.
That's he's that, like you said, he's that build. That's what he did very dangerously at Alabama. It was weird. It was one of those where you put your best receiver wherever, and that's what they did with him. But a lot of times with him, it was in the slot.
I mean, that's where he plays best. I'll be honest with you. I haven't thought about Ridley because I don't know if they're going to make amends there. Because last time we heard they were going to trade him, and then the whole gambling thing came out. But if he does
It was
come back
weird.
next year, and that's our third option, that's incredible. Like that offense is loaded.
I wonder what
so
the suspension means, like for his rookie contract. Still,
he's still on his rookie contract.
so it would extend it. So
Yeah,
that's
we'll
kinda-
have
that's kind of
his
nice.
fifth. He
It
still has
does
his fifth
extend
year.
it, yeah.
It's a silver lining.
It's it's an awesome silver lining for us if he comes back and plays for us.
So I want to pose a question to you guys as we're getting to the end here. So if we are plug and play, and that's what it seems like we're all convinced that the talent is there, we could compete with a good quarterback.
Yeah.
Which college quarterback do you think has looked the most NFL ready, or like who would you want to go with based on what you've seen so far?
Stetson Bennett.
Oh, good job.
No. I think for me, it's still Bryce Young. I mean, Will Levis has looked really good. CJ Stroud is good.
Who's
but
the
yeah.
Tennessee guy? Booker.
Yeah,
Hooker.
That's it.
Hooker. Yeah.
I'm right now. I still I can't look to the college yet because I still have some hope in Ritter. Like I feel like there's talent there. Like what we saw and what we saw in college too. Like he was a great quarterback in college. Like I think there's talent there. But if we're number 1 or number 2 pick and we don't believe in Ritter, I'm down with Bryce Young. Like that's kind of who I'm leaning towards. But here's my thing: if Ritter is the guy and we're still first 2 pick, like I'd love to go get Will Anderson. Sure up that pass rush.
Oh yeah,
and
Getting
then
Will Anderson would be awesome.
I'm
that's the
pretty
thing.
sure like pass rush too. Drafting them early is like the highest hit rate
It
of
is.
all
It
like
has to be.
positions in the draft.
Yeah,
Yeah, look at Hutchinson right now in Detroit. He's having a field day. The Jaguars defense has looked incredible through 3 weeks. No, 100%.
You can list them
Oh,
off. It's like
yeah.
almost everyone has been successful.
yeah.
Like
But both the Bosa brothers.
Bosa brothers, yeah.
others.
Yeah.
the
So
guys,
let's-
Clowney,
The
Yeah.
Watts.
Yes. Yeah.
Watts,
So
yeah.
I that's where I'm hoping we go next year because I'm hoping we have the quarterback thing solved. If not, well, we'll figure it out then. Real
Also,
quick though.
I will say, just because we have Ritter too, like there's been drafts, even like when Kirk Cousins and RG3 came out, they were taken in the same draft. I think
Yeah.
first and then third round.
Yep.
And so like Ritter's a third round quarterback. I mean, it could come like where we do take a quarterback early and then Ritter starts the year or something crazy like that after we
Yep.
get through.
And you just move
training
one
camp.
of them. Yeah.
Speaking of,
I can see
go,
that.
go ahead. Wasn't that such a strange draft? I remember seeing that. Like they took Kirk Cousins, like you said, it was either the second or third round after RG3. I mean, what are you thinking first off? And then if you're RG3, what are you thinking?
Yeah. What's the
Yeah.
confidence they
Like,
have in
yeah,
you?
like-
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah,
I think there's a reason that they don't win games, and that's probably why. Like they shoot themselves in the foot all the time. Before we move on from Falcons, though, next week we play the Browns. I just want to hear your score predictions. It doesn't have to be the final score, but just like, do you think it's gonna be close? Do you think we get blown out? What do you think is gonna happen?
It's home or away.
Home,
yeah, it's home, I think.
which we're really bad at home. We're
Weirdly.
really bad at home.
Yeah.
Ever since they built this new stadium, we've been awful at home.
Yeah, Atlanta United's won so many more games there. But
Not even close.
yeah, no. But anyway, yeah, I think I don't know. It's so tough to get a read on right now. I don't think we'll win, but I don't think we're getting blown out either. I think
I
it'll
like
be
that.
close. It'll be a good game, but it's all going to be a
Do
matter.
you think we have a shot to win it? Like
I
if
do think
could
we have
be
a
there
shot
in
to
the-
win it, and
Mhm.
and to that point, the shot is can you stop the run game?
Yeah,
Can you shut down Chubb
100%.
and Hunt, or
Mhm.
maybe not shut down, contain
contain.
Yeah,
Yep.
some-
contain
something-
them to a reasonable amount. They're
Force
gonna get in the
Brissett
end
to have to
zone.
beat you. Force
Yeah.
Jacoby. Yeah.
Hey,
Exactly.
I gotta say, Brissett. I saw this on Twitter earlier today. He's been one of the most efficient quarterbacks. Obviously
dude.
set up by the run, but Kevin
Right.
Stefanski is a very good coach.
He is. He is.
So I mean, obviously you got to stop the run game, but the offense is designed in a way this year without Deshaun Watson to be successful still.
Yes.
So
Yep.
I do think it'll be a close game. I'll give the Falcons credit on that because they have done pretty well stopping the run so far this year. And so if they can tackle Nick Chubb, which you know all of us in Georgia know how hard it is to bring down that boy.
Right.
But I mean, he's just such a freak of nature, and like the strength of that man is so impressive. The tree trunk legs and
what a wild
Hunt is such a good
combo.
punch. Yes, it's just the
exactly.
Punt, and they're both great. I just want to call out this. So the Browns started their season only beating the Panthers by 2 points, 26-24. And the Panthers, I'm not impressed by the Panthers. Even with their victory over the Saints, like the Saints just looked worse than they did.
Yeah, that just said more about the Saints than the Panthers.
Exactly. And then the Jets upset the Browns because of the Browns choking there at the end, which is why the Browns had to beat the Steelers this past week. Like after you get embarrassed by the Jets like that, you had to win. But they gave up 31. The Jets scored 31 on them. And then the Steelers put up 17 and the Browns won pretty handedly.
Not just the Jets, Joe Flacco.
Yes.
Jets.
Wow.
So my opinion on the game is I agree. I think we could win it, but I agree. I think we might lose. I think we're going to lose, but I think we're going to be in it. Like I don't think we're going to kill it. I think we're going to have a chance to win it and probably be in Mariota let us down again. And
that's exactly what I was going to say. Maybe that is what pushes us over the edge. Just another close game at home. And Mariota throws a pick to seal the game, or he fumbles a snap to seal the game.
There's only so many times Mariota can lose this game where they can't just be like, we can't keep sending him back out there. Like,
And if they do, like I said, that I think could turn.
That's more an art. Yeah. That's
well, no. Or it's kind of what I was saying about Ritter. Maybe it's that he's not.
God, I hope not. Yeah, but it could. It could though. Absolutely. But yeah, I think that'll do it for the Falcons segment. I do want
to shout out Matty Ice. He's back. The Colts with a huge upset over Kansas City. So former Falcon Matty Ice, we're happy for it.
You want to hear something else about Matty Ice?
What? I don't.
It's not good.
I don't actually. Let's move on.
Why not though? We should tell you anyways.
No, I think where we're at.
So Matt Ryan has thrown one more interception than Mariota. But one more, but he's fumbled at one less.
There it is.
So they're equal in turnovers.
Yeah, but
Matt Ryan got smashed 6 times the other day. Sacked 6 times in the game.
Just about to say, I think that has also a lot to do with the fact that he somehow went to a worse offensive line, which was not what we thought.
Dude, no one thought that. I feel so bad for him. Yeah. Like he might be 3-0 if he was still in Atlanta.
Yeah, maybe. Well, honestly, yeah.
Okay. Oh God, I hate thinking about that.
Do we got some Bravos to talk about next?
Yeah. Or do we want to talk about Westeros, Pentos?
True.
We're talking Game of Thrones.
We can go to Old Valyria.
We do talk fantasy sometimes here.
Whoa!
Hey now.
Yeah. So, Game of Thrones so hot right now. House of the Dragon.
I haven't started it yet. Do I need to?
Very good.
It's
very
great.
good.
They really get the incest right.
Oh,
They always do.
They always do.
All right, but our Atlanta Bravos, they're up and down this past week. Still game and a half out. I mean, obviously that's just what happens. Looks like we got a 2-0 lead over the Nats right now, so that's good. Trending in the right direction. We got 3 series left. We got the Nats through the beginning of this week. Then we do have the Mets at home this weekend.
That's it.
So, and then we have the Marlins.
And then the Marlins.
So,
So we including tonight's game, we got 9 more games, and that's it.
So, as long as we stay right there in the hunt, it's going to come down to that Mets series, which is super interesting. But there was big news this past week that Strider has been placed on the 15-day IL. It's like an oblique strain or something like that. So he's done for the regular season. We're saving him for the playoffs. And I would imagine he'll be our number 2 guy.
Wow.
I mean, assuming he's healthy, he'll be our number 2 guy behind Fried. But I got to say, it hurts a lot, especially looking at who the Mets have lined up to pitch against us this weekend. It's going to be DeGrom, Chris Bassett, and
Chris Pratt. Wow,
no,
Star-Lord's out there.
Yeah, I don't want to face him either. And then Scherzer. So that is a tough trio to get through. We're gonna have.
Let me guess. We have Jake Odorizzi, Bryce Elder.
I think it's gonna be Fried, Morton, Wright. So that's probably the best.
That's not bad. That's good. That's good.
And then also shout out Kyle Wright, our first 20-game winner, I think, since Tom Glavine.
No,
That's
there
more-
was somebody in 02. It was someone that
Russ
I can't even-
Ortiz, maybe.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's it was Russell Ortiz in 02, I think.
Yeah.
But
But before
shout out,
that-
still, it's a hard thing to do.
Yes.
It's not necessarily the most telling
Oh.
stat for a pitcher, but I mean, it's impressive.
Cool.
nonetheless.
But wins it, you know how in football, of course, quarterbacks get the win-loss stat as well, and it's also been a long-standing mantra for a long time of wins aren't really a quarterback stat, but they are. And while they're still misleading sometimes for pitchers, it's certainly more of a pitcher stat wins than it is for quarterbacks in football.
Oh, I agree with that.
yeah.
100%. Yeah.
And did y'all see that Snicker got the game ball signed by
Yeah.
Kyle Wright, and then
Yeah,
I
he got
think
he got a
framed.
scorecard authenticated.
Yeah, that's right. Yes,
That was
I thought
so
that was
cool.
pretty.
He was
like,
so
"Hey,
excited.
This is the first 20-game winner I've ever seen. So yeah, I mean it's. Or
I think
coach.
that's like
Coach.
obviously that's
awesome.
cool. That's cool for Snit, but like even like from a manager's perspective, like I feel like that's even like a chess move by Snit there because that just boosts Kyle Wright.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
his like confidence up even more. Which I don't know that he needs that anymore. He's just good.
He's just good now.
Which what a
But,
freaking
yeah.
boost these guys that we had no idea would contribute this year have been. And like that's a testament to AA and what Snit they've built. But like these guys out of nowhere, Strider
Yes.
and Wright leading us through the
it-
season.
What's crazy is after last year, it kind of had to be this way though. Because if you think about it, we won the World Series because of AA making moves at the deadline for three people that weren't going to come back to our team after this season.
Yeah.
And so like it had to be
worked.
people stepping up. Did we know who would step up? No, we had no idea. I guess we're probably hoping that the team would stay healthy and that people like Matt Olson, not that he hasn't contributed, he's been incredible. But like
he's in a slump now, but he's
he's in a slump now, but would be contributing more. But you have people like Michael Harris step up. You have Von Grissom come down. You have Strider come in. Even Kyle Wright, who the most wins. He had 4 wins before, or 2 wins, or 4 wins.
It wasn't many. He
No.
honestly probably had more.
I think it was 2
playoff
wins in 4 years.
Yeah, then through the year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like the fact that all that happened, like I mean, yes, surprising, but it had to happen. Otherwise, we're not going to be in the spot we're at right now.
Yeah.
We're right there. So I mean, we are at home this weekend versus the Mets. So let's see. The Mets have been dropping games to some bad teams too. Like they lost a game to the A's, and that helped us out this week.
So we could gain 1 game or a half a game on them tonight, which will only put us 1 game back, which would be awesome going into the series this weekend. Something else too is I thought was super funny was they clinched playoffs the other day. The Mets did, and someone I don't know some tweet somewhere was like congratulating him, calling him the manager of the year, and some Braves troll was like, "Yeah, congratulations that the #1 payroll in baseball can make it to the playoffs. You did such a great job."
So good.
It is kind of interesting too because they had a pretty big celebration after they clinched the playoffs, and like the Braves have clinched the playoffs as well, but it wasn't.
They don't care.
No,
Yeah,
we're
it's not a big deal.
yeah, it was.
It was more like when we have something to celebrate, we'll celebrate.
Yeah, exactly.
So which is awesome to see. And
that
like,
is
just a subtle reminder that we are the World Series champions, defending, still here. But I thought it'd be interesting to take a look at like what the playoff picture is right now as we currently stand. Because we are a game and a half back, we would be the top wild card seed. So we'd be looking at the 4th seed out of 6. So what that means this year is that there's a wild card round. So as the 4th seed, we would play the 5th seed, which right now is the Padres, and right now it's tight between them and the Phillies for that 5th seed.
right.
And so St. Louis, as the worst division winner, would play the 6th seed. And so that'd be a 3-game series, but also interesting twist: the higher seed hosts all 3 games, which I just read about that earlier today.
But we would host all 3.
Yeah, and I saw a poll of like people voting whether they would rather face the Phillies or the Padres. I actually lean towards the Padres just because we have less face time with them
Yeah.
than we do with the Phillies.
Let's play the Phillies. Let's beat that. Dude, we've been beating them all year though.
That's true, but the Phillies just have a really good 1-2 punch.
They
I was
do.
about to say their pitching staff is better. I
Yeah,
believe.
they have
Okay.
Nola and Wheeler are a tough one too. Obviously, our guys are good too. But I think that's the main thing.
Is Syndergaard healthy now, or is he?
I don't
Because they got
I don't
Noah
know.
Syndergaard now too. They got him at the deadline.
I feel like I haven't seen him pitch in a while, but
Yeah, same. He might
that
not be
could have just
healthy
been a
right now.
timing thing.
He pitched 2 innings on September 21st versus the Blue Jays and gave up 3 hits and had 2 strikeouts.
It seems not good. 2 innings.
Why did he only go 2 innings?
Did he get
Coming out of the
hurt?
pin for them?
Well, that could be
I
that.
don't know.
That's something to look into. But yes, but back to what you were saying though.
Yeah. So also another reason is that I'd rather see the Padres is because it's a 3-game, or hopefully just 2 games. But if it's 3 games at home, I'd rather have the Padres travel across the country. And
True.
I think that makes more of an impact. They're not as familiar playing at Turner Field at Truist.
They're definitely not that familiar.
Yeah, they're at
They are
Turner
not
Field.
familiar at Turner
We may win this game if they're at Turner
Yes.
Field.
But yeah, I think that it'll be interesting. They have a very talented team as well. Obviously, Juan Soto's been struggling the second half of the year for them. Tatis never came back because he had the injury and then suspended for PEDs.
Because he had that ringworm outbreak. Cost him the rest of the season.
But so, anyways, right now in the wild card round, we'd be matching up with the Padres, and then after that, the number 1 seed is who we'd be facing next in LA in the divisional series, and then after that, if we advance, NLCS would be against potentially the Mets, and then obviously the World Series would be the best of the American League, and it kind of sucks because the National League is so much deeper this year than the American League.
They still got Houston and the Yankees are still both pretty good.
Well, yeah, but that's what I mean. Like,
that's all they got. Really,
it is those two, and it's I would bet $100 that it would be either the Yankees or the Astros.
Yes,
but National League, I don't know. I think honestly, it's a toss-up who comes out of there. I don't think it'd be the Phillies. I don't think it'd be the Padres, because if the Padres got through us somehow, then they got
Dodgers
little brother syndrome with the Dodgers. There's no way.
Dodgers whooped them all year. Can I tell y'all a stat from the Dodgers that's kind of scary? So they have 106 wins, 47 losses. Their run differential this year is positive 322.
That's wild.
Ours is really good, and ours is 166. They're double us.
Yeah,
almost.
That's crazy.
That is nuts.
Yeah, it really is.
But
that means they're not used to playing close games, which I mean, get them there. There's lining. Yeah, there we go.
That's another thing. This past week, Kimbrel has been struggling again, the closer for the Dodgers, the former Brave. He's been struggling. Let it go has fallen off for him, and it's not working for him anymore. But Dave Roberts came out and said that he's going to be taking more of an approach that I've said in the past on this podcast, that the Braves should take, and that maybe Kinley shouldn't be pitching just the 9th inning. Maybe we should be more matchup based, and that's exactly what they're going to do. So Kimbrel no longer has just the 9th inning. It's going to be maybe earlier in the game and somebody else takes it, but they're a very deep team and they can definitely do stuff like that.
Yes.
But so can the Braves. So, it's obviously a hard track if we are coming in as a wild card team. Hopefully we can top the division as we go through this weekend. It would definitely make our path easier. You'd play 2 or 3 less games, which is a huge advantage. So it'll be interesting how it plays out.
What's kind of cool though is like we're right there though. Like the Braves are right where they needed to be at the end of the season, and so now it's just up to them to get it done or not. But I'm worried if we don't beat the Mets this weekend, and we do we get the wild card, that we're gonna be deflated going into playoffs. So I feel like it's almost like a must win.
I don't know. I think our guys. I mean, with the experience that our players have now going through the playoffs the last couple years, we went to the NLCS the year before last year. We have a lot of playoff experience, even with the younger guys on the team. So I don't know that they'd necessarily be deflated. Maybe it's something that would arm them. Maybe to get them pumped up and pissed off a little bit that they lost their 4-year division streak. But also the way that Snit's managing right now too leads me to believe that he doesn't think it's the end of the world.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
With Strider going on the IL and not trying to bring him back right before the end of the year to make us start this series.
Because they could have retroactively done his thing and done something.
Yeah, they did a few days, but not enough. Maybe it is a very serious injury, or maybe they're wanting to shut him down and make sure he's good to go. Because
at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, that's what matters is the playoffs.
Right. Yeah,
I agree.
And you get obviously we say this all the time, but if you get hot at the right time, that's what matters. Even if you have to play a couple extra games, maybe you get hot in those games, because that's kind of what happened in the divisional round last year. Because we dropped that opening game to the Brewers, and
that's true.
I was like, okay, here we go again. We're gonna get knocked in the first round. but it kind of felt like after Jock hit a home run that like, oh, things kind of felt like we're
things really
getting
clicked
hot.
after that
Yeah.
home run. Yeah.
And it
that's how it
reminded
can
me
be sometimes.
it was almost like when the Guardians, formerly known as the Indians, made that run against the Cubs. I know they lost the World Series against the Cubs, but I thought the Guardians that year were going to win it all because they did something similar in the play. Like they were an okay team until the playoffs, and they got hot and just started going. And like they were one of the most fun teams to root for.
Crazy what happened to both those franchises since then.
Well, hey, the Guardians,
True.
they're number 3 seed right now. They actually clinched the Central.
Oh wait,
so
did they really?
Back in it.
Yeah, they're
fallen
back actually.
Off. Okay.
Yeah.
There's some fun teams over there that haven't made it in a while. Blue Jays are gonna probably make it, and then the Mariners are gonna make it as well. So I kind of like the extra seed.
And Baltimore will finish with probably a positive record, which is crazy too.
Yeah. I mean, they were in it for a while there.
They were.
It kind of stinks like the way the divisions are because Atlanta's won 95 games right now, and the Cardinals are at 89. So I mean, that's frustrating to see that they'd be the higher seed, but
that's like all sports though. That happens in the NFL.
Yep.
Because then we wouldn't have the
breaks,
Giants,
you know.
Right.
Yes.
Because those Giants teams that beat the Patriots both those times.
The NBA though got rid of their rule that did that.
Yes, which they should have.
Yes, I don't know if you remember this, Hayden, but yeah, the NBA actually used to have it to where the top 4 seeds were the division winners.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
And then they changed it just
East
best
West
record. Yeah.
Which
they still have the divisions,
like
but it doesn't matter if you win it now.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that would be interesting, but
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe if I like it better in that sport, it might be better in other sports. Who knows? But didn't the NFL do something similarly too recently?
Which part?
They do a reseeding.
They
which is something I like.
Oh right, yes, that is
like,
cool. Yeah, the NFL
they don't have that in
reseeds.
baseball, and so like if we had a reseeding, for instance, after the first round, like if the Phillies beat the Cardinals, then we would be playing the Mets, who are the number 2 seed instead of the number 1 seed, because that just makes sense.
It does.
Yes,
it makes more sense
because we are the higher seed. It shouldn't be like set parts of the bracket.
No.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
This ain't March Madness.
Yeah.
Yeah, get out of here.
Reseeding should be a thing. I agree.
Yes, I love it. I think the NFL does that right. They do a lot of things right, except for all the things they don't.
Except for all the things they don't do right.
We don't have to get into that right now.
But yeah, we can move off the Braves unless you guys got anything else. That's kind of the picture right now, and we'll hope for the best and watch our guys get after it this weekend.
So with that, I want to move into a segment we've never done before. It won't be very long. But and I'm springing this on you guys right here. But it's a team we haven't talked about on the podcast before, but we need to because they're part of Atlanta sports, and that's Georgia Tech.
Yes, good call. Good call.
Yeah. So we haven't talked about them that much, not because none of us are Georgia Tech fans, but because there's not much to talk about there in any sport really. Basketball more so than football, but we're not close to that
Is
right
Passner
now.
still there?
Yeah.
Josh? Okay, cool.
Yes,
I kind of like him as a coach.
Yeah, no, they're certainly in a better spot than the football program is, and that's what I wanted to talk about here. But there's a light now. A light at the end of the tunnel. Well, okay, you know what? I won't go that far. There's a light somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere.
Now, whereas and that's an improvement because before today there was no light at all. It was pure darkness when it came to Georgia Tech football. But now there's a glimmer, a small glimmer of hope, which is the fact they got rid of Jeff Collins. And more importantly, in my opinion, they fired their AD as well.
Yeah, they had to.
Yeah, they're resetting their whole athletic department, which is what they need to do.
So as a former Georgia Tech fan, because prior to college, I grew up a Tech fan. I was I liked Paul Johnson when he coached there because it was the first time we were actually competitive in my entire life.
He kept them competitive the whole time he was
But
there.
I will be honest, though, I was one of the advocates to get rid of Paul Johnson because as a Tech fan, I liked what I couldn't stand about Georgia fans. It's not your fault, but like y'all had players you could root for in the NFL all the time.
Yeah.
Like besides like Calvin Johnson, we had nobody ever at the Tech really didn't.
Demarius Thomas.
Demarius Thomas. Yeah.
Thomas.
So two of the greatest receivers in the last 20 years. I do agree with
Jonathan
that.
Dwyer was pretty good for a little bit too.
I don't even know who he played for in the NFL. Like that's
Steelers, I think.
Maybe.
Anyway,
I could believe it, but I could also believe he didn't play there. So my point is like I was rooting for Paul Johnson to get fired, but who would have known they would have hired this guy who did literally nothing every year? He was in charge of special teams and they have had 4 block punts this year so far. Wow. They've had 4 of their punts blocked this year.
That's
and the head coach is the special teams coach.
Gosh, and he would have been gone. I think that he got the benefit of COVID.
Yes, no, he did. He did.
Hayden likes to talk about how coaches can extend their careers based
Oh,
off
yeah.
things. Well, he caught a big break with COVID there.
You got to sell
And
yourself.
the, and the athletic
money.
and the athletic
Absolutely.
director tied himself to him too, which is why he got fired
did,
too.
yeah.
Which, like, I mean, here's their scores this year: 41-10, they lost to Clemson. Then in week 2, they beat WC Western Carolina University 35-17. That's fine.
Catamounts, baby.
They lose to Ole Miss 42-0 in week 3. And then they lose to UCF 27-10. UCF.
Who are not the UCF of old
The Golden
anymore.
But I'd argue Miami Hurricanes had a worse loss, but
Oh, they did. They got railed by Middle Tennessee State. I think it was like it 37-10 or something like that, or 27-10. It was bad. It wasn't just a last second field goal upset.
45-31.
I think the leveling of the playing field in college football is very interesting, though. A couple of years out from like players being able to collect a little bit and stuff, like getting endorsements, and that's one reason Georgia Tech moving on from their coach, and the rumors flying about are that Deion Sanders is in the mix.
That would be wild.
So
he's done an excellent job at Jackson State.
He does.
And recruiting players. And in the state of Georgia, I think there's going to be some talent that wants to go play at Georgia
There already
Tech.
was. He got that free safety. I can't remember who it was, but the first 5-star player to ever recruit or to commit to a non-Division I school.
And he did at HBCU.
I can't remember his name. Yeah, and then he did it.
But that's something that people have talked about too, that he might not want to leave. Like he might.
Yeah, he's clearly trying to build something.
Yeah. And so like, and I don't even. I mean, honestly, it was just sad about where Tech's at. I don't even know if they could get him if they wanted to. They're strapped for cash a little bit.
Are they?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like their football team hasn't been successful in years, so they haven't really gotten. They had to swallow. They had to have a booster meeting to get enough money to write the check to Jeff Collins to fire him. They owed him $11 million.
Yeah,
and so like
that's another good way to cash in right there.
Yes.
Bought out from your contract, Coach.
Yes.
Oh, he cashed out. He won so many ways in this.
Jeff's golden, baby.
But that's like I don't know if they could get him. Like I feel like they really missed the mark when they could have got Mike Leach. Like that's what they should have hired instead of Jeff Collins. Like he would have fit in so well there. Like he just would have. I heard
they locked a player in a closet that had a concussion.
Okay,
great.
Yeah, okay, yeah. No, you're not wrong.
He's not a bad coach though. Sorry. He's very good. He's
who's
very gifted coach?
Who's the coach that was
Not
good?
That's funny, but that was funny from Hayden. Sorry.
Who's the coach that was good at Ohio State but went to Texas was bad?
Todd
Herman. Is his name?
Yes. Yeah.
He could be someone that they might be able to get because he's on the down. Like he's on the downward.
Tom Herman,
and he needs someone to pick him up. Like he needs to be picked back up by someone. Like maybe him. But like that's probably the best hire I can think off the top of my head. I don't know. What do y'all think?
No, I agree with that. I think that I was actually talking to our friend Anthony today, and he actually made some good suggestions of people that I had kind of outside the box. He suggested Garrett Riley, and I don't know if you guys know who Garrett.
Is that Lincoln Riley's brother?
That is Lincoln Riley's little brother. Yes, and he's currently the OC at TCU, over there. And but then another one was oh gosh, I can't remember his name. I was thinking about it just a second ago, but he's the offense coordinator at Miami, and I think that would be the best call for.
I heard that today too, the Miami one.
Yeah, because he knows the ACC.
Josh Gaddis.
Yeah, Josh Gaddis, that's his name. Thank you.
But after that loss they just had,
well, I mean, you can't pin that all.
I know.
Coordinator, but yes, so someone that knows the SEC or the ACC already.
I think one of Tech's big mistakes is that like Texas getting into the SEC. Who else? Oklahoma. Georgia Tech should have been on that boat. Like if they wanted to really compete, like Atlanta's a hell of a city. It is a great city.
Yeah,
so people want to live in Atlanta.
Yeah,
especially like in the South.
And the talent in Georgia from a high school football perspective is almost unmatched.
Top 3.
Yeah,
it's top 3 sleepwalking, and then it's probably the best in the nation and behind Texas, if not tied with Texas. But anyway,
per capita, like per population, we are the best.
Oh yeah. So
yes.
Georgia Tech, I don't know if this is still a reason, but I do want to bring up a historical thing. Georgia Tech actually used to be in the SEC. A lot of people don't know that, but they were actually kicked out of the SEC long ago, back when it was only like 6 or 8 teams. I can't remember exactly why they got kicked out, but from what I understand, that's been a big reason as to why they've never even tried to get back in. Something happened. I need to go look up more into that. But yeah, they actually were a member of the SEC in the past.
Well, something about the ACC is that it's pretty wide open, though. Like, I mean, you saw Clemson almost lost to Wake Forest this weekend, which Wake Forest is actually people have been talking about as a pretty good team. But like, the point is, if Georgia Tech could just turn it or like get a coach that's competent, you could be in the running for at least 8 wins every year, which is better than what they've been because the ACC has not been that competitive. It's just kind of a battle at the top, and it's really just Clemson.
Right.
But no, I kind of personally think Georgia Tech needs to go out and hire someone who's just been established and not try to do this Jeff Collins thing again, where you go look for someone to come up because you've been so bad for so long and like really bad. You just need someone to come in there and take that bad taste out of your mouth.
Let me throw a name out there. He's not very well known. He has never been a head coach, even at the high school level. Sam Swain.
Oh, hey now.
Hey,
watch out. Also,
he's got my endorsement.
He's got such a wealth of knowledge. He coached lacrosse, for goodness sake. He was a head coach of lacrosse. Never played himself.
He's a utility man.
You gotta watch out for that name.
Yeah,
that's also a joke. So, no offense to Sam, but he's getting out of the teaching game.
As we segue into Georgia, though, I would like to talk about, because we mentioned this, the parity of college football and just how we've talked about this in the bullpen warming up, but we'll talk about right here in the pod, is that because of things like the name, image, and likeness, NIL deals, and because of also the transfer portal, I believe college football is becoming more competitive. And I think week 4 in college football was the perfect example of that. If you look around the league, you have, as we're going to get into, Georgia only beating Kent State by 17, which is a lot of points, but still, like it was like a 49-point spread or something like that, 44-point spread. You have Michigan only beating Maryland by a touchdown. You had Baylor only beating Iowa State by a touchdown. Penn State Central Michigan scored 14 on Penn State. Mississippi, who just killed Georgia Tech, only beat Tulsa by 8 points.
Yeah.
Oregon beats Washington State by only 3 points, which Washington State, I heard, it was a slept-on team. But that's the point. Is like there's all these other teams that are like actually competitive when they haven't been in years past. And I think a lot of it has to do with the NIL and the transfer portal.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think that's the exact reason. Kids know that they have more of the power now, not only in getting a share of that pie monetarily, but also just like, if I might have gone to this huge prestigious program, but I don't have to stay here if it's not the spot for me, if I'm not comfortable, or if they're not giving me what I was promised. And
you can get found now too. Like it's so easy with the internet and like as much information as all these scouts have. Like it doesn't matter if you play like I don't know Troy or whatever too. Like you're gonna be, if you're good enough to play in the NFL, you're gonna be there.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Especially with social media and everything around exactly what you're saying. Like the way to get found is so much easier. But also, like you said, Aaron, if you're sitting on like, say you play for South Carolina, but you're not getting any, like, and you're a 3-star recruit, but you're not getting play time. Well, hell, maybe someone like NC State's not a good example this year, but like Vanderbilt goes, you know what? Like, hey, you come play for us. Like, you'll actually play more. And they're like, oh, hell yeah, I'll just go to Vanderbilt and I'll play more. And now I have a chance. And I'm getting an NIL deal here because I'm their best player. Like, so things like that can now happen. And I think it's making the college football landscape more competitive. And the old heads hate it. But as someone who just wants to watch entertaining sports, it's so much better for the game of basketball or for the game of college football.
Right.
Well, that's one thing that I'd say like college game has suffered in years past is like, half the games are going to be blowouts, and like that's still the case right now, but I think it's getting to a better spot to where like you get more competitive games. Like NFL is like that's what makes the NFL great. Not just like you get the best talent in the world, but also like you don't know what's going to happen. Like any team could win.
The Colts beat the Chiefs this last week, and they looked awful. The
Dolphins beat the Bills, same thing.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, 100%. I agree 100%
I think the
with
Dolphins
that.
are probably going to be pretty good, but
but like the Bills probably should have won that game. Could have won.
Oh, definitely.
But the parity in the league, 100%.
So, let's move to what we've been beating around the bush for here. A game that we didn't think we would need to talk about it, but we are, and that is we welcomed the Kent State Golden Flashes down to Athens between the hedges, and
I love that mascot. That's awesome.
Yes, no, it's great. And to be honest with you, also shout out my girlfriend. She attended both of those schools, so it was a
Nice.
yeah,
A
yeah. It
house
was a
divided
bit of a
within.
within
Bear.
herself. Yes, exactly.
A
So
heart
shout out
divided.
Mare Bear there. But yeah, and it started off well. It started off exactly how you thought the game was going to start off. I know both of you said, Hayden, did you watch the whole thing?
I watched the
right?
first half.
Okay, you watched the first half, and Blake, you said
I
you
went
were,
to
you were
the
out
Duluth
somewhere.
Fall Festival. Yeah, if anyone
Not to
made it out there,
brag.
let us know. But yeah, I just thought this was a game I didn't need to watch because I thought that I'd look at the
Well,
score and it'd be 56-0
like I
or
said,
something like
that's
that.
how it started on the first drive. Georgia got the ball first, and on the first drive, I think it was like either the second or third play. I think it was the second play. We did the classic thing. We did just a little tight end sweep play, almost like a little end around, even not exactly, but we just handed it.
Brock
Brought
Bowers.
Brock in motion, snapped the ball, turn around and hand it to him. He took it 75 yards for a touchdown.
He's so good.
It's insane
He's
how good he
so
is.
good.
It's one thing for a tight end to be able to score. Like, it's very rare for a tight end to be able to score like on a pass
Like that.
downfield, like from that far. He
Yeah.
was in the backfield on that
Yes.
play.
Yes.
That's where he got
Mhm.
the ball. That is
He was
incredible.
literally the motion man in the backfield and took that 75 yards to the house. It's insane what he's able to do. But Brock he had a great day, and I mean, you could count on maybe one finger how many times you couldn't say that about Brock Bowers in his career at Georgia. But that's kind of where it ends with UGA. We didn't play terribly, but we certainly played well below where we're at. Hayden, I see you squirming over there.
The reason I didn't watch the second half is I was having a hard time watching it. It was an extremely frustrating game. Both, like, you're supposed to be blowing this team out, which is fine if you're like lackadaisical, but that's two times now that it's teams that we're supposed to be blowing out that we're struggling with that. Which
Well, I
33 to
mean,
nothing
are you
is
talking
one
about
thing.
this? I was about to say,
Right,
It is
but-
33 to nothing. The spread was
Yes.
50. But that's like, I don't know if that's as much parity as it is like. It doesn't seem like we're preparing the same way for every team, and I think that could be a problem down the line.
One thing I agree if that were to be the case, but one thing I do want to bring up is that in the Samford game and in the Kent State game, something I noticed that was not the case in the Oregon game and the South Carolina game was that early, before we even have big leads, we're actually rotating guys in and out that would not normally be playing.
Yeah.
We against Samford, we put true freshmen in the first drive.
Oh, wow.
That's interesting. I didn't know
Yes,
that.
they are actually. I'm not saying it's everybody. I'm not saying first teamers aren't out there as a group.
Right.
They are, but they're picking and choosing. I've noticed it's mainly the wide receiver core. That is in part to AD Mitchell's injury. I'm certain of that.
Yeah.
But Dylan Bell, he's a true freshman. He's looked good to come in. A couple other guys whose names I'm struggling to bring up here, but
you had a lot of receivers catch the ball this last
they've
week.
rotated in and out more in Samford and Kent State early, like I said, than they did in the other two games. And I do think that's one thing to keep an eye on. Is it a reason for how close the Kent State game was? No, not necessarily, especially since you're going to take our true freshman over just about any starter on Kent State's roster, or you should.
If you just look at the data, and look at the stats of the game, I think it kind of paints the picture why this game was closer than it should have been. Like, time of possession, Georgia held the ball 37 minutes to 22 minutes. So Georgia's full control. If you look at total yards, 529 to 281, full control. 272 to 188, that's closer than you wish. Rushing yards, 257 to 93. So, we're killing them all aspects of the game. The biggest difference, though, is interceptions thrown, we each threw one, and then fumbles lost. We fumbled twice and lost it both times. Turnovers are the difference in this game.
And Kirby Smart actually had a quote. He said technically it was 4 turnovers because of the fake punt that they
I saw that.
He was like, to be honest with you, in the situation, the fake punt, that to me, that's a turnover. And he's right. I agree with how it affects your team. That's exactly what it is.
It is.
So yeah, he's like, when you turn the ball over 4 times and until the end of the game, we didn't take away the ball at all. We sealed. I mean, I put sealed in quotations. We were up 17.
Mhm.
Let's not act like we almost got Michigan to App State here. Okay. That is not the case.
No,
but
it's more disappointment, I would say.
Exactly.
It is. Yeah. Something else too that was surprising to me, and it's kind of holding true now, is that and people were talking about maybe it was a no narrative, but maybe it is a narrative, is the fact that we actually haven't gotten many sacks this year. Like the Georgia defense.
Yeah.
And this game we had 3, but I think up before this game, I think we only had 1 on the season prior to this game or something like that. Like it wasn't many, which we're getting a lot of pressure. Don't get me wrong. Like, we're still getting a lot of quarterback pressure. And I think pressure is more important than sacks, but it's still like that has been a narrative about the Georgia Bulldogs that we don't have any team sacks.
To me, at least right now, I'm not going to put a lot of stock into that. One, I haven't really even thought about it because of the fact that we get pressure on the quarterback. We make tackles behind the line of scrimmage. And
giving up 1 touchdown through 3 games.
Yeah, well, now 2, but
first 3 games.
Yes, there you go. But anyway, sorry. The defense gets pressure. I think it's based off what teams now see that Kirby Smart does on, with the time he's been here. Teams scheme against that, obviously, and I think that teams try to get the ball out of their quarterback's hands as quickly as possible when you play Georgia, because you got to.
Yeah.
But no, I agree. It is something to look at going forward. But that's not what I'm worried about. I'm really not worried about the team at all. It wasn't. Kirby even said this after the game. It was what they needed. I think sleepwalking against a team like Kent State, which all credit to Kent State. I don't want to take too much away from them either. I felt like they came in with a good game plan. It's tough for them to do that. I mean, like, it's one of those. It's a paycheck game for them basically. It's it's a come here and
$1 million.
Yeah. And so, I mean, not as much, because they're still a Division I opponent, obviously, but you guys get what I'm saying. But I think it was a good slap in the face. I think that, all throughout the year and throughout a lot of the year last year, Kirby had to talk about if teams won't give us adversity, we're going to have to create it for ourselves. Well, they didn't have to create any adversity for themselves. They did, but not in the ways that that he was talking about. They create adversity through themselves because they turned the ball over 3 or 4 times.
I think, just watching the first half, you could tell Stet was a little bit off. None of his throws were really where they wanted to be. Yeah, right. Hurting your Heisman candidacy against Kent State kind of sucks.
But the game wasn't even on TV, so maybe if you're going to throw
they missed it.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Why are they making this so hard? I mean, I'm in Colorado. It's a little bit tougher, but yeah, you had to log in to SEC Plus or something. SEC
Network. Yeah. There was 2. You could if you had an ESPN Plus account, you could watch it there. But then if you had a TV subscription or an SEC or an ESPN Plus account, then that's when you get SEC Network Plus or whatever. Jeez. So for me, it wasn't an issue to watch. That's part of my subscription list. But yeah, it is not ideal for the number 1 team in the country.
No,
but again,
everybody wants to watch still.
But I'm fine with it. This was the one we needed. It's like they knew something going into this. No, I'm kidding.
But I have to bring up one receiver that's a veteran out there.
Boy.
That wasn't a freshman rotating in. Little Lad had maybe the worst half of football I've seen at UGA.
You were fired up.
Hayden was
awful.
I didn't even get to see it. Tell me and the listeners, please.
He's a player you trust. You have him returning kicks.
He's your gadget guy.
Punts. You trust his hands more than anything.
Yeah, he's our safety dude. I mean, he's like, you throw it to him when...
I don't know what happened. It's like he forgot
to
football. He muffed a punt the first.
He dropped 2 touchdowns that doesn't show up in the stat book that much. He dropped 2 touchdowns.
That was big. And then he fumbled.
Easy drops.
Twice.
He fumbled twice.
One of them was also very concerning. It was Stetson. He was... double cover is not necessarily the right word, but it was a tight window in the front of the end zone, and Stetson threaded the needle, and he put it. I mean, he had to. Lad had to reach a little bit out, but he was still able to high point the ball and get 2 hands on it. But he heard footsteps. There was a linebacker coming across the middle
multiple times.
It was like he was.
That was the same thing on the punt too, because he didn't call a fair catch and he should have.
Right,
and then he got nervous and didn't get under the ball.
Right. And so it was a very uncharacteristic game from Ladd.
He had the yips.
That's not. No.
See, Aaron doesn't think so. So it's going to be interesting watching next week to see
It will.
I mean, I hope that's not the case. Hopefully,
did he get hit early, or did
no,
he?
From what I remember,
or did he muff the punt early? Was that the first thing he did?
It was early, but
It was their first possession, I think.
Maybe that's
Oh,
what happened.
damn, it
Maybe
might have
he
been, yeah.
maybe
And then they
he
got a
muffed
field goal.
early and he just
Yeah.
lost it after that. Like he just couldn't.
He's acting like he got lit up in practice and then something's off. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. Like, hopefully it's a blip. But like the broadcast wasn't helping Lad out because every time he made a mistake, every time he dropped the ball, it would cut to the sideline to him just getting chewed out. Like, I was like, it would be like Kirby chewing him out, his offensive coordinator chewing him out, or like probably the receivers coach, special teams coach too.
Yeah,
like,
it was Brian
and then
McClendon.
Right after that, it would be like the players coming over like, hey man, don't worry about it.
It was not
State.
good. It was not a good day.
At the same time, it is Kent State, so you don't expect those kind of mistakes from a starter. Like,
right. From a player who's looked like our best receiver through
not named Brock Bowers.
Not right. Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm not including the tight
maybe
end.
not from an athletic standpoint, but like, I mean, he definitely
just reliable.
He's sneaky.
He's his go-to target.
He is.
Yeah, exactly.
Very athletic.
Right.
So like, just not what you expect. So like,
but for me,
as we get in.
Well, I was gonna say he hasn't had a bad game his entire career at Georgia, which is only a year and 3 games. So up until that, but because he is just a redshirt sophomore. But yeah, I'm willing to give him a pass. It was against Kent State. I mean,
you can't.
I'd rather him
Tennessee or Kentucky.
I would much rather him muff punts and fumble the ball against them than, like you said, or even higher competition or a bigger stage game. So maybe. It's not. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. It's not the yips. He had a bad game. It was something outside of football. Who knows what? God knows what.
He was up till 3:30 at Bourbon.
Oh, is that what the people?
You know they're partying hard the night.
That's
before.
what I said. But I mean, I'm not gonna banish him. I want to see him out there again. He helps our team most of the time. But man, you could feel it after the second mistake. I was like, all right, son.
He just doesn't have it.
Today's not your day. Go take a seat.
And
he did. You go sit down.
He did. They didn't feature him a lot in the second half.
I mean, they were trying. Like, I think they wanted to help him work out of it, probably during this game, just to get it out of his head. Be like, okay, like let's move past this. So hopefully we don't see that from him next week. You don't want to give extra possessions to SEC opponents.
No.
But that was my 2 cents and my biggest frustration.
Speaking of next week's opponent, Missouri. Did you guys see how they lost?
No.
Yes. No, I did.
They played Auburn down in Auburn, and it was just it was exactly what you'd expect out of Auburn, Missouri this year. It was a crappy, awful game. It was 14-14, and they went to overtime. And in overtime, Auburn gets the ball first, and they kick a field goal. So they're up 17-14.
Which is like the worst look ever in college football when you get to kick a field goal in the first overtime.
Yes, and so Missouri gets the ball back, and I can't remember how many plays it took, but they get down and they have a little sweep or a toss play to the corner of the end zone. And their ball carrier, he had a wide open.
I thought it was their quarterback. Was it?
Oh, was it the quarterback?
I thought it was. It might not have been.
All I'm picturing is what happens next.
Okay.
Which was all he had to do. He could have died. He could have dove for the pylon, and not a hard dive. Not Michael Vick getting flipped up in the air dive. A normal two-handed dive to the pylon, and he's in, and they win. Instead, he reaches the ball out with one hand, and kind of underhanded as well, and tries to touch the pylon and just drops it. It didn't even get slapped out. He just dropped the ball, and it rolled into the end zone and out of the end zone for a touchback, and the game was over.
That's shout out to our 2014 Georgia Bulldogs that did the same thing at Tennessee that year. I was at that game, and it was like we were in overtime, and like we were supposed to be winning that game by a lot too. But yeah, they fumbled out of the end zone, and that ended the game, I think. So,
you talking about Tennessee did?
Yeah, Tennessee fumbled.
Yeah. It was Pig Howard was his name. I don't know if you remember Pig Howard.
Ooh. Pig Howard.
Yeah, Pig Howard. He's a running back. Yeah, he fumbled into and out of the end zone, and Georgia won.
Something we haven't talked about. I don't think we have on the podcast. Did y'all see the 2023 schedule came out?
Oh yeah, I haven't looked at it though.
Dude, it's like an Alabama schedule, man.
Hell yeah!
All of our non-conference games are against bad.
I think that's because we had to take Oklahoma off the schedule. That was the year we were scheduled to play Oklahoma, and we had to take them off because they're joining the SEC.
Oh, really?
Yes. So They told us and Tennessee both, we had future games scheduled against Oklahoma. I believe ours was 2023. Is Ball State on there? Are you looking at it?
Yeah, I have it up. Ball State. Yep.
Okay, that's it, because they replaced the Oklahoma game with Ball State.
Oh, that makes it a little better.
It makes it better, but also it's like, because the SEC is saying, yeah, you're probably going to get matched up with Oklahoma, or at least you have the chance to. So we want to avoid playing Oklahoma twice in the regular season, and so
it's just a bad schedule though. You start off 4 games at home, the start next year, and it's UT Martin Skyhawks, Ball State Cardinals, the Gamecocks, and then UAB Blazers. That's your first 4 games.
UAB, shout out Rick.
Yeah, that's your first. And then you get Ole Miss at home later in the season. You play Kentucky at home after the Auburn game. We play Auburn in September next year, which is so early.
That is.
So the schedule, I just wasn't super enthusiastic about it. But
no,
I think you got to blame the East a little bit because
the East is so bad.
Yeah,
honestly, the SEC right now is probably the most top heavy I remember it. Maybe like back when Florida was also really good. And it was Florida and Alabama, but like even like LSU was good at the same time then. But now it's like it seems like just Alabama's getting the West, and then just Georgia.
Well, no,
I mean, you gotta remember Kentucky and Tennessee are both in the top 10 right now.
Yeah, they're 2 top 10.
Yeah, 2 top 10. We have 3 ranked teams.
Tennessee,
they're 8.
Tennessee's 8.
No,
Kentucky's 8, aren't they?
No,
no, did Kentucky go up?
Tennessee's 8, Kentucky 7.
That's crazy.
Yeah, no,
Arkansas
there's 3
lost this past weekend too. They were number 10,
but that was to another SEC team though. They lost to A&M.
Yeah, they did lose to A&M, who was 23rd, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, 23rd, 24th. Yeah. So, I mean,
there's clearly a second tier to Hayden's point, but I think that while I think we're all right here. I think what Hayden said is correct, but also I think this is still one of the deepest SECs we've had compared to other conferences.
True.
Yes. Yeah. If you're comparing to other conferences, yes, definitely there's
compared
a
to
disparity there.
Yes.
But yeah, as far as like within, it does feel like 2 dominant forces.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. I mean, you have 4 teams in the top 10 right now that are SEC.
Yeah,
4. That's almost half.
One thing, I'm just really proud of Tennessee and Kentucky because that if we're able to beat them, man, that makes us look a lot better than you would have thought it would have going into the season.
Yeah, I mean, you get quality wins over Oregon, Kentucky, and Tennessee. That's really good.
And they're the Kentucky and Tennessee are the rivalry week. I always have to say that phrase slowly. It's a tongue twister. Rivalry week game. They're always, when we play Georgia Tech, Tennessee and Kentucky play each other. So my point is they're not going to knock one of the other one off before we play. So
nice.
There's a chance we play 2 undefeated teams there that are ranked in the top 10.
Nice.
Like to give them some spankings. Tell you that.
I think we played them back to back, right?
Also,
no, we don't.
No, I don't think we.
Mississippi State.
It's all
Mississippi
within
State's
the same,
in between.
Yeah, it's all within the same month though.
It's all November.
Yeah, we have a good slate of games starting with the bye week before Florida.
Yeah,
that leads, or not starting with, but the bye week leading into Florida hits us with a stretch of I think Florida, Tennessee, Mississippi State, and Kentucky.
Yep, absolutely.
So
that'll be fun.
That will be really fun. But other than that, guys, that's all I got for the Dogs. If you guys have anything else,
go Dogs.
Atlanta United, would not much to talk about there because they literally have not played a game since we last talked about them. So we play the New England Revolution on Saturday. Slim playoff hopes, but playoff hopes all the same. So it's a 1:30 kickoff. It'll be competing with college football. So if we do lose, maybe not that many people will see it. But yeah,
I don't like that team name.
Wait, the Revolution?
I understand it, but yeah,
I mean,
it just has no ring to it.
New England Revolution. Yeah, it's not great.
It's too long.
Yeah, that's true.
It needs to be 2 syllables.
And I think to both y'all's points, that's why their fans just call them the Revolution. Like they which you would have to because you're right. New England Revolution does not roll off the tongue.
Honestly, there's a lot of bad MLS names. Kind of like we were talking about Chicago Fire. Like it's named after a horrible fire. Like
San Jose Earthquakes.
Yeah. There's a team named after an energy drink, and they're very good.
They are very good, yes.
Yeah, they are good.
But yeah,
I'm okay. Right. I'm okay with that one though.
Yeah, no, that one's fine. Especially since though you guys know they're owned by the same. Like, there's a reason for that because there's also 2 Red Bull teams in Europe
for Formula One.
Yeah, no. For soccer.
Oh, soccer.
Yeah,
'Cause and Red Bull owns all of these.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So Red Bull has Red Bull Salzburg, which is the best team in the Austrian league, and then they have Red Bull Leipzig in the Bundesliga in Germany.
That's awesome.
Which is one of the better. Yeah, and that's actually how. Sorry, not to go off onto this, but I think it's really cool. Jesse Marsh, the best American coach in world soccer, he got his start with Red Bull, with the New York Red Bull here. And then they offered him the job for Red Bull Salzburg to keep him within the organization, but to promote him, which I thought was really cool.
Shout out to all our listeners in Germany. Guten Tag, am I right?
Yeah, shout out to Sam, too, for this sponsored section of Sam's Soccer Seg to end the episode.
Yeah,
all right.
That was it. But yeah, otherwise, I think that's it.
That's going to do it, folks. Well, thanks for listening again. Hopefully we keep getting some hot clips on YouTube or something, whatever stirred up some views there. But yeah, tell your friends about us. We're gonna keep showing up here every week. We might take a week off around Thanksgiving, but we're here spitting out hot takes about Atlanta sports every week. Sometimes dumb, sometimes not. Sometimes they're spot on. You never know what you're gonna get.
Really
always spot on.
Yeah, unless Blake says it.
As we're headed out, special shout out to our friend Oh No that puts together our music, all our lady friends, Jess, Kinsey, and Mayor Bear.
There it is.
To our what is it? The Golden Flash and Bulldog. The Golden Flash Bulldog.
That's
Mayor
right.
Bear.
Yes, indeed.
Thanks everybody for listening. Leave a review and whatnot. We'll be back next week.
Bye, guys.
On next Tuesday. Later.
Tuesday, ain't it?
Tuesday.